So I decided I was going to do something different from my usual challenges of KOTOR 2 and do something a little more laid back. Mainly because if I keep going at this rate, my mental stability is going to cease to exist. And whilst browsing YouTube like I normally do, I came across a small creator called Moist Critical who talks about a Resident Evil game that's going to be shutting down forever and you'll no longer be able to play it. So what else was I going to do except see, can I platinum the worst Resident Evil game ever before it's gone for good? So like most games, I start with learning a tutorial, and I won't lie, I thought the gameplay here was a little strange. It felt a little off, and molding into a mold creature was kind of a bit odd when I died, but once I've completed the tutorial, I'm netted with the very first trophy. In my first match when I'm fighting actual players, it is actually quite fun and you get used to it quite quickly. The gameplay is quite simple, but it's also enjoyable. In my first game as Leon, I actually pick up 3 trophies in total, which obviously is getting through the count quite quickly, and I was feeling really optimistic for the rest of this run and getting the platinum trophy. And finishing in the top 3 really did insinuate that point further to me, that this could be quite a quick run and that there was nothing for me to worry about. When I started game 2, I realised how wrong I was, since I ran into every issue that there ever was in this game, and there's a reason why I can see why the game completely died. See, at current, the servers are only based in North America and it runs peer-to-peer, which means if the host has bad internet connection, then everyone's got bad internet connection. I mean, just look at the gameplay I'm about to show you.
Holy shit, dude!
And this happened game after game, and it honestly started getting so bad I was getting booted before we could even do anything in the game. Somehow though, teleporting more than the Enderman, I did somehow manage to net myself one more trophy. Having netted almost half the trophies in a single day and the gameplay actually being unplayable, I decided just to call it day. Mainly because if I didn't, I was going to end my life quicker than I do in my other challenge videos. But if you want to see me have a complete mental breakdown, help me get to 2k subscribers, since I will be doing a challenge that's even worse than any others that are on my channel. Unfortunately for me, I actually woke up, so I had to continue doing this on day 2. And well, luckily for me, it does kick off with me getting another trophy, even though I'm playing like I've got hands from that one dude from Scary Movie 2. And after a bunch of miserable more games, I actually disconnect whilst in first place, and I decide to cling on to the hope that maybe it will class this as my win for Leon. And it gives me an excuse to switch, since Leon's shotgun has absolutely no range, and I get more use from a bubble gun. The only thing I found worse than Leon in this game was remembering that the country of France still exists. I then move on to Claire, who's a character that can stun people and has an extremely high fire rate, but more importantly, she has range. And well, I have a great first match and I'm enjoying the game a whole lot more, mainly because I can kill things and I can also, well, see, I can actually play, unlike yesterday. Unsurprisingly, I get my top 3 finish when I am playing in the RPD because there's only 4 people. I also managed to stag myself the trophy for getting a 5 kill streak, and I also quite quickly get my win as Claire. Next up is Jill, whose entire playstyle was just putting down mines, luring people in, and before I even play, I actually buy her some new outfits for another easy trophy. And I thought she was going to be quite similar to Claire, I'll just have to get used to her and then I'll get my win. That was possibly the worst thing I ever thought, because I spent over an hour and a half playing as Jill and just wasn't able to get my win. I was just getting bullied by this one dude called the Failing Fox, and he beats me repeatedly over and over. You may be wondering why I'm struggling so much in this game. Well, the reason is that if you don't get the final tick of damage, then you get absolutely no credit for any of the kills you do. So unlike other games I played, like other CODs or For Honor, if you do damage, you'll get some sort of credit. Well, in this, if you just miss out on that one final bit of health and someone else takes it, they get the credit and you get nothing. And this happens quite often, and I suffer quite often for it. And I won't lie, after roughly 90 minutes of just being tormented by the fact that Jill was useless, I once again tie in first place with a total of 0 points and decide once again I'm going to pray to the gods that this counts as a win. The next character I chose to play was Ada Wong.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
Who's a pretty solid character. She's quite quick, quite hard hitting, and is surprisingly fun to play. Her bow does a lot of damage and staggers people quite easily, and her skills allow her to create distance and avoid damage, but whilst knocking people down to get easy kills off. And it only takes me a few games whilst playing Ada to actually get my first official win without it being DC related. Of course though, we can't talk about Resident Evil without talking about the man himself, Chris Redfield. And I won't lie, he has the most broken ability in the entire game, since one of his stops him from being staggered standards and is possibly having one of the strongest weapons to combine with that, he is an absolute powerhouse. He's about as broken as he is in Resident Evil 5. And I won't lie, this match with Chris is a great match. It's so great I actually win my first one, and I will now never play him again, so I can neglect him like Capcom did in Resident Evil 7. It was also at this point I realised that it's normally the same 5 or 6 people in every game, with this game having the failing Fox from before and also having Mr. September, who was in my games earlier with Ada. I then move on to everyone's favourite villain, Hunk. Don't worry, I know the Wesker mains are going to absolutely brutalise me for that. But in this game, I can 100% confirm that he can in fact be killed, but he is actually really fun to play, feeling like a mix between Chris and Jill. He has a great ability to boost his damage, and he also has a knife that does high damage if anyone gets a bit too close to him. And I won't lie, all the games with Hunk are going really well. Especially the second game when I think I'm going to win, and then the game decides it's going to DC me whilst in first place. The downside here wasn't realising I'm going to have to play another game as Hunk, it's realising that those DCs with Leon and Jill earlier didn't count, so I'm going to have to do all their games all over again. But in my third match with Hunk, I do get the win, and there is no divine intervention stopping me from progressing this time. I decide I'm going to run it back with Jill first, and this time I adopt a tactic I learned all the way back in the prime days of COD, which is camping.
Oh hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Yes, on the map Village, there's just a little hut where I'd drop my mines on the floor, and anything that came in would either die to them, or if it didn't, it would stagger, and then I could shoot it to death. And I can't lie, this worked far too well, since at the end of the game, I'd actually gotten 11 kills, all as a human, and none as any of the creatures, which sums up how broken Jill can be in the right situation. And that my previous issues was what is known as a skill issue. And I can't lie, that skill issue did almost stop me, since I almost threw away at the end here, as me and someone else died to the guy in second, and his points started to rally really close to the end of the game. But with Jill ticked off, that just left Leon to be done. The cycle was complete. The man I started with was the man I was going to end it on. Naturally, I dressed up in a fresh new outfit to really emphasize that this was a new me and a new dawn. And I can't lie, playing as Leon now was so much more fun than it was when I was playing him previously. Probably because I actually understood how the game worked and I wasn't just complete dog shit. However, my enjoyment was quickly ruined since I lost repeatedly to this one Australian man, who was clearly the host of all the games that were being played, since the first 2 minutes of every game started with unbearable ping. But try again I did, and once I didn't have him in my game, it became a lot easier to deal with, and I eventually secure my win with Leon, securing me the second last and arguably the hardest trophy that there was in this game.
You weird, buddy.
Of course, all that leaves is the final trophy, which is just reaching level 10 on the battle pass. So naturally, all I do was go over to my challenges, claim them, and then I wait for the platinum to pop up. Yeah, it's one of those games where it doesn't even give you a platinum when you 100% it. This is why this game failed.